Is Christopher Vizzina challenging Cade Klubnik? Is he competing with him in the quarterback room? Today we're going to talk about that here on Clemson Football Live. Folks, welcome to the channel. I'm Brian. If you like what I'm doing, I hope you'll subscribe. I hope you'll pass it along to your friends, your neighbors, your clergymen, even if they're not Clemson fans. Even if they just like talking about Clemson football, college football. Please pass it along. I do appreciate it. Also, subscribe. It is free. I appreciate it. Now, yesterday, I talked about Cade Klubnik and the idea that Clemson's plan is to try to make him elite in 2024. And the response to that video was quite colorful from a lot of you. There's a lot of you who normally disagree with one another, who overall, you agreed that basically you don't believe that it's going to happen. And I'm just going to leave it at that. But the question for me has not only been about Cade, it's been about the quarterback room. Now, Christopher Vizzina is a recruit out of Alabama. He was a 4-star. This is all according to 24/7 Sports. Go look it up for yourself. And if my memory serves me correct, he was rather young. He was like a 17-year-old coming into Clemson, or he was just right at turning 18. So he's a young guy as it is. Don't let his 6'3", 6'4" physique fool you. The guy is young and he's growing. He's really a boy. No offense. My son is 17. He's bigger than me. Love him to death. He's a good kid. He's a boy. But there were questions about Christopher Vizzina's my coffee's not working, y'all. I can't speak plain. Christopher Vizzina's development. Like, he's not developing fast enough. We heard murmurings about that throughout last season. A lot of people had a lot of questions about it. And this week, Christopher Vizzina spoke with the media, and I'm just going to quickly go over this. He said, last year, honestly, was the first time in my life I wasn't playing. There was a lot of lessons that came from that, but that was also kind of like a rubber band, pulling me back so when the opportunity comes, I can let it go. It's good to be good. It's going to be good, so I'm excited about everything. It's been a good couple of practices to be able to show what I've had and what I've learned from the past couple of months. So, he has been playing most of his life. Like, if you go and you look up his background, and you kind of learn a little bit about his history, you're going to find out the guy's been playing all through high school. He's kind of been the it guy. And he comes into Clemson at a really different time. This is the most volatile time in the Dabo Swinney era post the early years. You know, Dabo's second full season, he went, 6-7, something like that? So I'm not counting those years. Those were building years. Some people would say rebuilding. That's not rebuilding. There was nothing to rebuild. You were building. So this time is very volatile. I'm going to leave my commentary out on that one. If you watch me all the time, you know what I'm going to say. And if you don't know what I'm going to say, just go watch my other videos. You'll find out really quick. But Christopher Vizzina comes into Clemson at a time of change, at a time of trying to troubleshoot why the program is not where it used to be. So, a lot of people has looked at Christopher Vizzina and said, we just think this guy is not going to develop. We don't really think, or this guy's not developing as quick as we'd like for him to progress. Okay, let's break some things down. I am a person who tries to criticize the proper people. All right? Great example. Everyday example. You'll walk into a restaurant. And you have a hostess standing there. And the hostess tells you that it's that hey, this is how long you're going to have to wait. This is the time frame that her manager, her general manager, the owners gave her. And let's just say it just isn't in well. Maybe it takes longer than what you thought. Maybe you see some open tables and you're like, why can't you seat me over there? Well, what you don't know is that the server who was serving that area is swamped. So if you go sit over there, you're just going to sit there. I used to work in the restaurant business. What you do is you give this 17-year-old high school student a good piece of your mind. You're going to hear me. She's not the person you should be chewing out. You oversized yogurt. What you need to do is speak to the manager. Also, probably calm down, you male version of a Karen. See, you need to hold the proper person responsible instead of the person that's just in front of you. Yeah, I don't care about your reasonings of, well, they're here and this is how things work. My friend, you decide in that moment how you want to make things work. And that's the same thing here. Everybody's looking at Christopher Vizzina going, hey, man, hey, are you not developing quick enough? I ain't developing. You know, Deshaun Watson came in here and he was incredible, man. A once-in-a-lifetime talent. Trevor Lawrence, once-in-a-lifetime talent. I said it yesterday, I'm going to say it again today. Those two guys set the bar, not just for Clemson, but for college football. And Clemson was blessed enough to have them within a 3-year period of one another. Remember, there was 1 year in between Deshaun and Trevor Lawrence. Kelly Bryant was there. And those guys had incredible talent around them and incredible coaching. Something that Cade doesn't have, and yes, young Christopher doesn't have either. See, a lot of guys have to develop. They don't come in right off the bat and they're the Michael Jordan of college football. So, Christopher Vizzina, there's been questions about that. Now, to lead into the title of this video, Christopher Vizzina needs to challenge Cade Klubnik. And Dabo says, hey, I'm seeing challenges there. I'm seeing him challenge Cade. I'm seeing him push Cade. And see, folks, this is what you need. I could care less if it's Clemson. I'm talking about any football team. At any level, you have to have someone who is pushing you. Because if you're not being pushed, the vast majority of the time, you're going to become complacent. And we've seen that over and over. I've seen it with head coaches. I believe Clemson's problem, partially, is complacency. They'll deny it until they're red in the face. The Clemson apologists, the fans, will come out and tell me that I'm wrong. But folks, you need to understand you have to be pushed. So, Christopher Vizzina needs to contend for the starting job. Now, Sweeney says he is pushing Cade Klubnik. He says that he is challenging him. We're hearing that he's made a couple of good throws already. I wasn't there. I haven't seen it. Now, I will tell you this, that a lot of times, not always what goes on in practice goes on in a game. And we know that a lot. You do have to, you can't be one-sided and just say, well, they did great in practice. Well, they're terrible in the game. Well, we're still going to play them over this other guy. That, you can't, let me rephrase it. You can do that and you will suffer the consequences for being terrible at making decisions. So, we're hearing that Christopher Vizzina is challenging Cade Klubnik. And also, if you listen to his comments, he says, this is the first time in my life I am not playing. What that does to a guy who's always been playing, you can only imagine. He even says, and I'm going to try to quote this right. He said, quote, there was a lot of lessons that came from that, but that was also kind of like a rubber band, pulling me back so when the opportunity comes, I can let it go. Skipping on down, it's been a good couple of practices to be able to show what I've had and what I've learned for the past couple of months. You can hear the desire to be on the field. You can almost feel or see that the young man's skin is crawling to be on the field and leading. You go from playing all the time to standing on the sidelines. And so I will tell you my opinion on this. I believe that this is a great thing for Christopher Vizzina, because unless you're a Deshaun Watson or a Trevor Lawrence, who's, by the way, once-in-a-lifetime talents, how many, again, let's set the bar properly here. How many Deshaun Watsons and Trevor Lawrences are there in college football? Not at Clemson, in college football. In history, not that many, right? So why are we putting that template that is, I don't know, once in a lifetime on a kid who has the ability to develop, but he's not them? I think that would be a grave mistake for all of us. We shouldn't do that. And I think we should calm down. And I want to go back to this statement here with that I said a little earlier about criticizing certain people. There's some of you, if I start to criticize Sweeney, oh my goodness, you should see some of the comments that's made to me. But it's some of those very same people who has absolutely no problem with filling a tube sock full of bars of soap and beating an 18-year-old kid in the crotch. It's like that example about the restaurant. I'm going to give this 17-year-old girl a piece of my mind, when you should be doing it to the general manager or the owner of the restaurant. You're not so big and bad then, are you? That's the problem here. It is an imbalance of judgment. And it's not logical. Keeping Christopher Vizzina right behind Cade could be one of the greatest things for this young man's life. He's sitting there, he's having to work it out. Hey man, what do I do? You're just going to have to be a sponge, sir. You don't want to be, I'll tell you right now, you don't want to be out there behind that offensive line right now. You don't want to be out there with some of these wide receivers when they're not hurt, they're dropping footballs, except for a few of them. You don't want to be out there. You don't want all of the Clemson guys who I just addressed who was complaining about the wrong people, but they'll take up for the wrong people. You don't want them going on their local Clemson football forum and unloading on you and it getting back to you. You don't want that. So I'm glad that he is there, that he is soaking up the experience, the knowledge. He's learning, because hopefully that will give him a chance. Remember, that's how things used to be. A guy would sit on the bench. He would learn. Well, that transfer portal is good. I understand. But you can't coach these players in fear of the transfer portal. Whether you're for it or you vehemently hate it, you can't coach it out of fear. You have to play them when they're ready. You have to bring them in. If they transfer, they transfer. I don't see that out of this kid. Could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. So Christopher Vizzina is dying to get on the field, but at the same time, he is, according to Sweeney, challenging Cade Klubnik. There's good quarterback competition. You need this to grow both of them. And then that puts the future of Clemson, makes the future of Clemson be a little brighter. Folks, I want to hear what you have to think about it. What are you hearing about Vizzina? Do you trust what you're hearing about him? What do you think about the competition between Vizzina and Klubnik? What is your concerns about the quarterbacks that we have in the quarterback room? What's the possibility if an injury happens, an unfortunate injury, Vizzina takes over? I want to hear what you think. Whether you agree with me or you disagree with me, I want you to throw it in the comments section. Also, If you'll subscribe, hey, let me tell you this. It's free. It got a lot of subscribers coming in the off season, which is great. And one last announcement. I'm going to play this. I have joined the College Huddle. The College Huddle. Eric Boggs over at the Ohio podcast reached out to me, and I am now the representative for Clemson in this wonderful community of college football YouTubers, and it's just college sports overall. It's not just football. College YouTubers and podcasters. So I'm going to play this commercial, and I'm excited to be part of this launch in April. Be looking out for further announcements about the College Huddle. Quick comment here. Roger Parks, who is a Clemson Football Live member and supporter, the light could turn on for Cade and he could turn the offense around. It sometimes happens, but I'm not holding my breath. Also, Trevor's last year, they took the same vanilla offense and made it work. Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, T. Higgins, those guys, the guys around them, Amari Rodgers, they were all so flipping good that you could call any play and it worked. And you know that. A quarterback kneel would have been a 30-yard gain. So, Roger, thank you so much for supporting the channel on a monthly basis. Folks, you can join the channel as well and support it on a monthly basis, either $3 or $5 per month. There's just two different tiers. There's no difference. It's just whether you want to support $3 or $5 per month. There's a join button below the video. You won't see it on an iPhone. Roger, thank you for supporting the channel and for making your comments. Folks, I look forward to hearing from you. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. As always, go Tigers.